ridiculously hard in general. And then to ask that sort of thing of them for urban redevelopment is a little too much. It's kind of, I think, an unrealistic expectation.
Most of the time it wasn't a good idea back then. Do we have a, I'm sure we have a list of the empty buildings in town.
Well, right now, there's only really one on Main Street, which was also where Christie was located, but that particular building will need a lot of renovation. I'm talking about the old Main Street music building. It's an old wood frame building, and it would take a lot of renovation to put almost any type of business in it, in my opinion, from being in. The Peacock building, I think, is totally out of question because it's just, that's a swing building here on the corner. Mayor's office. Okay. Just a minute.
Can you hear us?
You there?
Yes, thank you.
All right, I still think, I mean, we need to put together, and we already have, a significant amount of resource for small businesses. I don't know if it's going to specifically be able to help you with what you need to do, or what you want to do, but, you know, that's something we can put at your disposal. How we work that, I mean, we need to sit down and talk that through. And that's another issue. Any of the small businesses, you know, we have a lot of resources to throw at them. So it doesn't always work for them, but we need to sit down and talk about that with you and anybody that needs to have that type of help. Anything else on planning and redevelopment? We're going to
put that RFP together, but there is the concern. I mean, it'd be great to have the support from Jonathan that you just talked about, but if we go with a funding source that has the procurement issue there, as far as coordinating that information with whoever we hire to help with the concepts and that type of thing, that's going to be a challenge to work that together. And I'm not sure what the group, how
Is he offering group pro bono?
I'm not completely sure at this point, Kara, what we've got, where he's at with it. It was just a informal meeting. I just know he wants to be involved. Joe, getting back to something that you mentioned, and I'm not sure where we're at with this Peacock building, and it's been a thorn in our side for quite some time.
Right.
It's sitting over there empty. It looks awful. It's a disaster. It's been a problem. I would like to get involved in getting something done with it. I believe at this point we now may have an option to do something with that building. Why could we not? We know it's a problem. At this point, why could we not obtain some funds to do some renovations on that building to the point where we could utilize it for a potentially community co-op for situations like Christie's, to where she could go in and put her coffee shop in and have it, not just her coffee shop, but some other small retail establishments, to where we could sell some crafts and some other things in there till...
Well, as you know, that building is privately owned property also.
I understand that, but it's been for sale also. It has been for sale.
And that whole thing may have changed in light of the fact there was.
And of course, the gentleman that owned it recently passed away, and now it's up to his wife. Now, they've been cleaning that building out now for about 2 weeks or so.
Okay.
And what her intentions is, I have no idea. I do not know the lady.
Well, I'm just coming up with some ideas here to what possibly we could do with it, because it is empty, it is a problem.
Maybe an opportunity.
It may be an opportunity is what I'm saying, and that might be something that, I mean, I don't know. I'm just coming up with some ideas here that might work.
Are there
I have
fruits
issues
there
with
or
proximity to churches. If I want my beer and wine license back, there's, you know, I mean, I know a lot of times, and this is what we had to do in Virginia. I know different state, different whatever, but I owned a commercial property in Portsmouth, Virginia, that we were directly across the street from a church. We had some guys put in a restaurant, very high-end restaurant, but it had a full bar. The law there was that we had to go, there had to be a public hearing. The church had to be informed. They were allowed, as was everyone else, to go to the public hearing, and then the judge made the decision as to the appropriateness of whether or not that restaurant with its bar should open. We won, we got our restaurant. I don't know if that is something that is workable within the state of West Virginia or not, but that's how it worked where I was previously. So if that is not a workable scenario for me, then I can go, I can't go anywhere. There's very limited spaces, and once again, we're limiting ourselves as far as business and tourism growth and that sort of thing with those sorts of problems. We have very limited retail space, very limited restaurant space. If we want to have a glass of wine with our dinner, where are we supposed to put that restaurant?
Yeah, I understand. I'm just trying to
So
come up with some
that
idea.
building, so yeah, if there are ways to work, I mean, those are just things I'm throwing out there to bring to people's attentions as a restaurant and business and owner. Those are the things that we as a community need and a municipality need to address. Otherwise, we keep shooting ourselves in the foot. We have, you know, I had a good location. I could do what I needed to do in that building. It's gone. Now, to do what I was doing, which was successful, there are very limited opportunities for me or anyone else.
Just for my own clarification on the slogan update. When you say there's limited space for restaurants, you mean actual location on the main street?
Yeah,
You mean,
actual location.
buildings that can actually even be renovated for that purpose, or what are?
Without absorbent costs, yes. Very limited main street locations, very limited, you know, and the way I had to do things to even be able to afford to do what I do, I did things extremely non-conventional restaurant-like in order to do it and keep my costs where I needed them to be. And we, I guess to toot my horn a little bit, we cranked out some pretty good food with minimal equipment. And there's just, and that has been one of the biggest problems in town in general, is nice places where people can go sit down and eat that are not all the same. And so my place offered something that was a little bit different than the rest, and then I got my beer and wine license, which was bringing in people, and I was hoping over the winter might bridge the gap between here and Snowshoe a little bit. That was the biggest complaint. There's nowhere to after a day up on the mountain, a lot of people want to get off the mountain. Very limited places to go. At least Dave and Paula are now having dinners and doing a little bit of a nicer evening type fare on weekends. So, you know, it's just, those are the things that need to be looked at, and I think there are some, and then when you're trying to relocate somebody like me that had a pretty, in a way, strange business, but it was working, there are really there's not much in the way of opportunities. So that unfortunately needs to be looked at, I think, if you're talking bigger than just those businesses that were affected by the fire.
Let's talk about, after the meeting, let's talk about the people. And those opportunities like that. Got a couple ideas, I'm not sure what's throw them out on the table right now, but something that we can maybe work towards.
Well, I think Christie makes a really good point that we've lost a lot of real estate in the town of Marlin for a lot of different reasons over the past 40 years. So I think it's really important that we all be very conscious that we don't want that to happen again. You know, we can't afford to lose any more retail space, housing as it were. It's very important that we as a community work together to make sure that does not happen.
How did you, I mean, obviously this, how were the others lost? Just they went away as retail establishments?
There are a couple of businesses right beside my office that Richardson's bought that lot or owned the lots. I don't know what happened to those buildings. I can't recall why they went away. They just tore down those buildings. The hospital, of course, that structure was torn down into green space. Was there a building beside yours where the parking lot is now? Or was that always a parking lot?
There was a building there.
There was a building there as well.
Building there. It was flood damaged severely.
So they tore them.
So a lot of parking lots have been put into the main street.
And we don't need more parking lots. Or parks, or any place else, green space.
Is Denise still on there?
Denise, are you still there?
Close to it.
Okay. Okay, we're moving you.
That's it.
Excuse me,
No.
yes, is it okay if I just chime in at this point? I'm not sure just the right. I don't expect anyone to know me. I'm Gordon. I own the summer camp out in Minnehaha Springs, and I know it's not Marlington. I bought Minnehaha off the Worths. Some of you may know or not know, basically 15 years ago, and I love this community. I love its values. I find the people extremely welcoming and friendly, and it's very similar to the village I grew up in the far north of Scotland back in the 70s and 80s. And the only reason I'm here today is because it's really self-serving, I suppose, because I need Marlington. I would like Marlington to be successful, as I'm sure we all, whatever success may mean. I have families that come from, all over the States, from overseas, and I encourage many of them to come and stay in the community when their children are at camp. So it's really nice and helpful when I can say, you can go into town. At the time it was really just, there's, somewhere to eat, somewhere to stay. And we know, look, I understand small towns as well. I grew up in one. So I know the struggles with, that it has, whether it's a tax base or whether it's just that, but for all it's worth, as a business owner in this community, even though it's not in Marlington itself, I think I liked when you said, the Peacock building could be an opportunity as opposed to, and this may be an opportunity where, unfortunately, because of what happened with the fire, that we could do something quite special. We could look back in 30 or 40 years and say, unfortunately, the cause of the fire was then the catalyst to, and I have no idea where this redevelopment of this 8-block area is, but big picture, it sounds quite exciting, So anything I could do to help, I'd be I don't know what I can do, but anything I could do, please just ask, because I think we are all in this. We may come from different points of view, but I think we all just want our community to be, you know, a better place to live and raise our families, and have people. The architect, I take it he grew up here and he's moved away, and he probably now looks back as I do in my village and think, wow, that's a great place to live. But unfortunately I had to move away to do what I wanted to do, and you know.
Yeah, well, you're right.
But he's probably very proud of where he grew up.
And if he could come back here and be a part of its rebirth, or whatever, renaissance, then
He'd be very happy, very
then,
pleased.
yeah. So, and rather than, I mean, I know there's limitations with funding and various things like that, but and then having to use certain architects or certain things due to procuring funds, but perhaps looking outside that box a little